All right, like all Tech Tuesdays, I share this QR code, also the link in the chat for any of you guys that want to stay informed as far as, any events we're hosting. Anytime I post recaps, YouTube videos with all of these things we talk about. All right, looks like we got more people joining. Welcome, April. Nice to see you. Yeah, so you can scan this QR code or click the link in the chat. That will sign you up to receive email notifications as far as video uploads, meeting links, any events we got going on, anything fun or nice tips, I think are very important that you guys know. So you can get access to those by signing up to that link, or you can always email me. Yeah, I'll keep you updated and sign you up manually.
He will join us and help answer that question. And it's an extremely important question. As I said at the time, the January 6th committee, they had a predetermined
Don't
out.
forget to mute yourselves, guys. There you go. Thank you so much. All right. Before we get started, like all meetings, I like to let you guys know you can raise your hand at any time if you have any questions. There will be different portions of the meeting where you can where I will leave time or space for some questions if you have any. You can participate through feedback, polls I have on the screen sometimes, fun icebreakers or whatnot. Yeah, all these meetings are recorded, so you can always go back and rewatch them on YouTube. And that is something you do get notified for by signing up through the link I posted in the chat. I think at this point, 99% of us are, but if not, I always like to let you guys know because it's an ever-growing group. We get new people all the time. So you do get access to all of these meetings as far back as a few months now. So yeah. All right. Let me see if I have any polls for today. Oh, no, I don't have one for today. Dang it. Okay. We'll launch the same one as we did for 2 meetings in a row. Keep forgetting to update these. But we got some new people in here, so maybe we'll get different answers. All right. So while you guys answer that, last meeting, we talked about, beginner-friendly guide to using the Kvcore CRM. And we had a lot of great questions, a lot of, good engagement. And I do get a lot of questions as far as the CRM section of Kvcore goes. So we talked about hashtags, how to sort or filter through contacts, a lot of very, very important information. And the recap for that video for that meeting has been posted on YouTube in case you missed it. Okay. And you always have access to, as many one-on-ones as you want. You can book one-on-ones with me through the website. That's also in the chat. And if you need any help, I'll be more than happy to help with that. Okay, so you can connect at any time. I've connected with a lot of you guys and I've only heard great things. So thank you so much. And you have that at your disposal whenever. Okay, so that's what you missed last time in case you couldn't make it. Today, we're going to be taking a look at one of Kvcore's, great features, which is, putting together a comps on Kvcore. So you can actually do that for free, create a presentation out of it for clients and, showcase that. So that way, when you go to listing presentations, you have, a nice visual of all the comps and, all the properties around a certain area. You can tweak it to your liking. You can select, a bunch of different things manually. We'll get through it so you can actually see, but it's a very powerful tool, free of charge. You don't have to pay anything. it's included in your Kvcore. Okay, so that is what we're talking about today. And this is a really good combo with Coach Renee's trainings. Every single Wednesday, we have comms trainings with Renee. So it would be a good combo to implement the strategies Renee uses to actually come up with, the right price and find, good comps, and pair that up with this Kvcore system to streamline the process. Okay, so you don't want to entirely put all of the work, to Kvcore, because Kvcore, after all, is an algorithm. It's a robot. It just evaluates things based on data, but sometimes data doesn't tell you the whole story when it comes to comping. But with those two, knowledge bases, if you will, you'll be able to do some really great things and work much faster, and it'll look much nicer. So that is today's topic. Of course, if you have any questions, you can always raise your hand and let me know. So I am still in the progress of uploading a short form video for last meeting. So it's going to be great. But in the meantime, there's still the older one here about a link tree. If you haven't set up your link tree, you can go to the YouTube and watch that and get your link tree set up going. It's a very, very powerful tool that I think everyone should have, and it's free. So this video will take you through step by step to creating a link tree that you can start sharing with all the leads in your database. You can have it linked to your social media, market reports, your website. You could put it on your flyers, business cards, pretty much anywhere you want to share a link, you want to share your link tree. So this is now live on the YouTube channel, which you can find. Let me actually put the link to that in the chat also. Let's see here. YouTube. There it is. I get a lot of questions all the time as far as how to find the YouTube channel. So let me just put it on here so that you can get to that. Okay, so through this link, if you want to be notified by YouTube as well, you can subscribe directly on YouTube. And every time these go live, you can just, click on it and watch the meeting. Okay, and as you can see, we have all of the past meetings here, some of them with Renee, but Coach Renee has his own YouTube channel where he's going to post, different videos. I encourage you guys to check those out, and also Coach Frank. Okay, so all of these are being recorded, so you can go back through all of them and rewatch them at any time. So that's that. By the end of today's meeting, so we're going to be utilizing a feature or a sub program of Kvcore called Core Present. And through Core Present is where you can put together that really nice presentation with all of the comps and all of the information related to that. So we'll have a quick overview of what Core Present is, how to get it to generate the comps on there, and creating a presentation out of all that data and information, and how to share and present that information to clients at the end. Okay, it's going to be very, very easy. Just follow along step by step and ask as many questions as you have. There's no basic questions or stupid questions. Everything, all questions are welcome. Okay, so that is the objective of today's meeting. All right. So if, do we have any questions so far before we dive into anything, any comments? I think we're looking good. Awesome. So we're going to open up Kvcore. Let's see, we got some more people joining us. All right. Welcome, Donovan. Nice to see you.
Hello.
Hello, hello. All right. So let's open up Kvcore here. I'm going to go to my web browser. We'll open up a new tab. Get rid of this. All right. So once you open up Kvcore, you're always going to be greeted with your dashboard where you can kind of see a newspaper of, you know, everything that's been going on. The way to access Core Present, which is the sub feature, the sub software you use within Kvcore to actually build this comps presentation, is through the marketing tab right here. Okay, so I'm going to click on the marketing tab once I log on to Kvcore, and it's going to take me to this page with all of the marketing features that Kvcore has to offer. Okay, through here you can access things such as mass, you know, scheduled emails. You have a CMA builder, which we'll get to, which is a quicker version of Core Present, but I always like to use Core Present because it's more thorough and you have more control. You can do smart campaigns from here, search alerts, and a bunch of other cool stuff. Okay, so today we're going to be focusing on Core Present. Okay, so I'm going to click Get Started right here. And again, this is through the Marketing tab. If you don't see this bar at the on the left-hand side of your Kvcore, it's probably because the menu is collapsed like this. So you would have to click on the 3 bars at the top here. I can zoom in on it. Once you click on that, it will expand that menu, and then you can see, you know, marketing. It'll still work if it's like that, but some people get confused sometimes. So you want to open this up, click marketing, and then you'll get to this screen. So once you get here, I'll click on Get Started on the Core Present box right here, and that will open up a new tab like this. It'll load up, and then it'll take us to the screen right here. Okay, so there's a bunch of different buttons here. You don't have to worry about 90% of any of this stuff. You just want to create a presentation. So all of these are going to be roughly the same, but they're just different templates. I always click on the the listing one. Okay, but they will all do pretty much the same thing. They're just going to rearrange the slides within the presentation we're going to get at the end, but it's always going to be the same information, relatively speaking. So whenever you open this up, you just want to go ahead and click on win the listing right here. Okay, so I'm going to click on that, and then it's going to open up this page you see right in front of you. Okay, price a property, it says on the left hand side. So we're going to enter the address of the subject property, because whenever you're doing comps, obviously you have a property in question. Maybe it's the property of a potential client who's looking to sell their property, or maybe if you flip, you know, the script, maybe you're working with a buyer. Okay, a lot of people think that you don't need to comp or, you know, do any comp work for, you know, when you're working with a buyer. But in order to negotiate for your buyer, it's important to know the appropriate price for the property in question that your buyer may be interested in. And knowing the comps and, you know, the right price to the right price that that property would sell for could be a good thing to have under your belt, because you know when the property is maybe overpriced or maybe underpriced. So on either side of the transaction, knowing how to comp a property is going to be very essential, and you'll be able to negotiate better for your client. Okay, so here is where you will put the address of that subject property. So I'm going to put a random address in here. Let me find something here on the MLS. So this can be anything. Obviously, if you have a listing, you can put that address in there, but I'm just going to put a random house on here. We'll find a property here that my office has listed. Hopefully this doesn't load for too long. Tell you what, we're just going to type the good old 123. Always something always comes up with that. There we go. Hopefully it's actually a house. So let's choose 123 West Spring in Long Beach. That's might be a house. Okay, so I'm going to click next. So you would put the address for your subject property here. This is just an example, so I'm just using 123 West Spring Street in Long Beach. So I'll click next. And then Kvcore or core present, same thing, will generate a, it'll ask me to confirm the information of said property. So it's going to pull this from, the MLS database or, the tax records or whatnot. It's going to pull this information from the internet, and it'll ask you to confirm whether or not this information is accurate. Okay. 90% of the time, this is going to be accurate. But if there were any changes to the property, or if it's not accurate for any reason, you want to change the information you see down here. So by default, well, not by default, but based on the address I put on here, it's telling me that this is a single family property with 3 bedrooms. It has a living area size of this amount, about 1,200, almost 1,300, and it was built in 1920. Okay, because this is just a test property, I cannot verify that, but this is almost always going to be correct because it pulls the information from the MLS, any old records on there. But make sure this is accurate, because determining what the comps are will highly this is going to be very important. You can't comp a 3-bed with a 5-bed, so you want to make sure they're as similar as possible. So once you have all this information in here, you have the address, the city, the state, and the property type and bedroom count, and all that stuff matches. You want to click on this button right here, the dark gray button that says comparable details. So you can actually build a presentation without doing the comparable, the comp side of things. But I always do that because why not? You want to have all the information possible whenever you're going to talk to a lead, whether it's a buyer or a seller. You want to be prepared for all of those questions. And it's even better to have a visual of everything you're talking about so that they can see for themselves, especially with sellers. You can suggest a price to them based on all your research, but if they don't have anything tangible or visual to look at to understand, sometimes it's like talking to a wall. I've had plenty of appointments, listing appointments where I try to tell a client, hey, you should price because this is what the market is saying, but they have their own idea of what they think the property is worth. And obviously, because I think my property is worth $1 million, doesn't mean it's going to sell for $1 million. It's going to depend on what the market, collectively speaking, thinks it's worth. Okay. So being able to show this information and back it up with, data will make your life a little bit easier. Okay. So once all of these details are in here, you want to click on the dark gray button that says next comparable details. So I'm going to click on that. And any questions so far? I don't see anything in the chat. Make sure to raise your hands if I'm moving too fast, okay? Let me know if looks like we're doing good. All right. So after you click next, it will take you to the screen right here, okay? There's a lot of information here, so I'll take you through step by step, and I'll tell you what everything does. So by default, the auto button will be highlighted right here, okay? On the left-hand side, everything you see on here are all of the criteria you can change in order to find the best possible comps. So remember, when you're doing comps, you want to find alike properties. You can't compare apples to oranges. You want to compare oranges to oranges, apples to apples. So we're only going to be finding other properties to compare with that are also single family properties. So right now I can click through each of these different tabs, and these are all the criteria I'm looking for in terms of comparable properties. Okay, so you have the property type. We're doing single family, so I can leave that checked. If it was a condo would probably be checked here, but because I'm not comparing condos to single family, I'm just going to leave single family checked here. Okay, you can also tweak the year built. So if I want to find comparables that were only built in 1920, like my property, I would leave that in here. But if I want to add a range, maybe from 1919 to, you know, maybe a little bit above 1930. Oop, not 1030. There you go. You can also create a range through which you can have Kvcore look for all of those different comps, okay? Because it's one thing to be spot on with the property criteria when looking for comps, but sometimes you might exclude properties that might be important in determining the value. So if you're only looking at, properties that were built in 1920 to find comps, and there's a very, very close comparison, a very, very close comp that was built in 1919 or 1921, the system might not show that based on the criteria you put on here. So sometimes it's good to have some wiggle room in terms of the comps, which I encourage, but just for the sake of this example, I'm going to leave 1920 in here because and we'll get to the map very shortly here, because it looks like I already have plenty of information just based on that date right here. Okay, so that's what this column does. Next up, we have closed dates. Okay, obviously, when you do comps, you determine the price you should list the property at based on past sales. Okay, so everything that looks like your property that has sold in the recent, past, that's what you want to go based off of. But you're not always going to get recent sales. Sometimes you're going to have to go back more than 6 months, more than 12 months, sometimes even maybe more, depending on the market and what's been selling in the area. So you can tweak how far back you want Kvcore to look for in terms of finding comps for your property. So the more recent, the better, obviously, because 6 months ago could have been a very different market than today, depending on what market you find yourself in, especially since the pandemic and all that. We've seen crazy property appreciations, tons of offers, being put on a single property. Inflation, there was just, still relatively speaking, it's not it's not normal for sure. With all the interest rates, it's not what we're used to, but it's you got to keep that in mind. Not every market is the same. So the more recent you can be, the better. So I'm actually just going to do 3 months instead of 6. So that's very, very recent, and looks like I still have a bunch of things here on the map, which we're going to get to very soon. Obviously, you also have the bedroom count. For this, you want to be as spot on as you can, but obviously you can also tweak it and add some cushion there. You can do 2 to 4, or maybe just stay at 3 if that's all you want to compare with. I'm just going to leave it at 3 for now. And then square footage, same thing. You can add a range as far as how much square foot you want to look for your comps with. Right now, by default, it's going to be set at 20% less to 20% more than my property. If I zoom in here, it'll tell you exactly what your property is in the middle, and it's going to show me comps that are between 1024 all the way up to 1536 right here. Okay, if you want to be spot on, you can move these around, obviously, and look for more comps. You can only do a 10% margin over here, and that will reflect here on the map. Okay, we're going to get to the map in a second here, so you can do that. And you also have a switch here that says include listings that don't list square footage but align with other selected criteria. So sometimes on the MLS, people will not fill out all the information, but if everything else matches and you check this, that will tell Kvcore to also pull those properties in the results, even though this information is missing. Okay, so yeah, I'm just going to leave this unchecked and only showcase the ones that do have the square footage listed on the description. And then last but not least, we have the total lot size. You can also search for comps based on this information. I'm just going to work with the living area and not the total lot square size. But this is something you have at your disposal to also filter through results and find comparable properties. Okay, and you can do square feet or acre, and you can switch here. So I'm going to click the minus, and yeah, this is this left-hand side here. The bottom side right here, what this means is if you have your own properties that you want to use for your comps, you can just put the MLS IDs for those properties in here, and then Kvcore will generate them on the map. Okay, but if you just want to go with the ones Kvcore is showing you, you can leave that blank and it will generate everything for you automatically. Okay, so this is a very great tool to utilize when you're putting together a list of comps for your clients, and also you just trying to visually determine what's out there, play with the toggles. It's much more interactive and user friendly, I would say, than the CRMLS. Once you log on there, you kind of have to click through a bunch of different menus, and for new users it might be a little scary, but once you get used to it, of course you'll have a routine as far as comping properties. But you also have this at your disposal free of charge as an EXP agent, and you can come through here and have Kvcore do most of the work for you. You could just play around with the numbers and find the comps you think are best. Okay, so this is the left-hand side of this menu right here. Do we have any questions on any of that?
Love it.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, so you could play around with all that, find the comps. So now we're gonna look at the map here on the right-hand side. So let me move down here. So on this side of things, it's going to show you at the top of this section, the address of the property in question. This is the subject property, and it will also show you all of the details for the subject property. Okay, so as you remember from the start, it told us it was a single family, a 3-bed. This is the amount of square footage, and this is the year that it was built. Okay, so this information is for the subject property, for which you can see the address up here. And then down here, if you look at the bottom, it'll say comparable criteria. So the information you see within these rectangles is basically what you set on the left-hand side. So property type that we're looking for is single family, which matches what we checked here. If I was to check condos also, you'll see right here, it'll say I'm looking for comparables that are either single family or condos, but I'm not doing that, so I'm going to uncheck condos. So this tab just shows you all of the criterias or filters you've set to find your comps. Okay, so that's what all that is. And then down here, you have the map, and the map just shows you all of the results that were found based on the criteria you've set. And if you look down here, you have some color coding here. So anything in solid red tells you that this is a property that's sold within the time frame you set. Okay, the time frame criteria you set. So I only put properties sold between now and 3 months ago. So let's say I wanted to see more sold, I would just go to my close date right here, and I can extend this to maybe 6 months. Let's double it. So now it's going to show me 6 months worth of data. And as you can see now, instead of 2, it found 6 properties that were sold in the last 6 months. Okay, so you can keep playing around with those and kind of find as many comps as you would like. The more information you have, the better the better the decisions you can make with all the data you obtain. So that's what that means. All the pendings will be in this yellow orangey color. These two colors don't match, but it's going to be this right here on the map. And the active match is going to obviously refer to all of the active properties that match the criteria you've set. And all the blue pins within on the map display all of the coming soon properties. Okay, so that is what that is. So if you look on the map here, you can actually click on all of those little pins and see more information about them. Okay, so there's two different types of pins. So for each of these little pins you see right here, there's full colored ones and there's also grayed out ones. Okay, if you guys notice. So just like for the yellow one here, we have this one that's yellow and, fully colored. And you have another yellow one that's, grayed out and just outlined in the color. So what that means is it still is considering it as a comp of the property, but because certain details within that property description don't match your criterias, it's going to label it, it's going to change the color of the pin. So if we look at these two, for example, this yellow one fits exactly within our criteria. But let's say there was another one that just had a slightly higher square footage, not too much, but just enough to, put it on the map. It will also show you that, so you can click on it and decide whether or not you want to add it to your list of comps. So if you see by me clicking on this grayed out one, it's telling me that this is 17% smaller than my criteria. I can click add to comps to consider it, or I can leave it as is and it will not be added to my final list of comparables. Okay. So I'm going to reiterate that once more so you guys understand. So here we have a red, let me zoom in a little bit. Here, the red refers to sold matches. So notice here we have a fully colored, red pin, and we also have a red outline pin that's a little bit dark. So this tells me the full colored one fits within my criterias, reasonably fits, is similar to the criterias I've set, but the grade ones here are far outside of the criterias I've set, so it'll be gray. So when you click on it and you think that it's worthy of getting added to your list of comps, you can click on the grayed out ones and then click add to comps. And if I do so, it'll actually change the color and make it fully, full colored again. So it was this one I clicked on. But if you decide, maybe I don't want to add this one to my list of comps, I can click on it and then remove from comps, and then it becomes grayed out. Okay, it kind of zooms out every time I do it, but that's what all that means. Okay, so fully colored ones are considered within your list of comps, and grayed out ones are properties that closely match your criteria, but not quite, but they're still going to pop up on the map. And you can click on them and kind of see whether or not you want to add them or just leave them out. Okay, so that's what that means. Up here, you have map or satellite. You can actually change how you view this map. So if you prefer to see the terrain, you can click on satellite. If you want to keep it like this, you can click on map. If you check terrain, it'll show you what the terrain looks like, so you can play around with that. And yeah, you can remove labels through the satellite view or add them. I'm going to keep the map view. It's a little bit easier to focus on everything. Something else you do have is obviously you want to curate the how far are you looking for comps. Okay, you want to go, sometimes you want to go a little bit farther out because there's no comparables in your the sphere that it highlights by default. So maybe instead of looking for a mile, by the way, right here is where you can change that, right above on the middle of the map right here. So this is the radius, the search radius. So by default, it'll be a mile from the subject property. But if we want to go even further out, you can select how many miles you want here, or you could just type it in, manually how many miles. So instead of 1, if I put 2 and press enter, it will change that. And now my circle is, oh, actually it did 0.25. Let me do 2 mile. There we go. So now the circle is going to get much, much bigger. And I'm including much more, many more properties within my search radius. So now instead of 6, as you can see, I'm finding 19 properties within this radius that were sold within the last 6 months that we've set up over here. Okay, so let's see, let's change this back to 1 mile. And now the radius is much smaller and we're back to the 6 sold matches. Okay, so something else you can do is you can click on this little button right here. This is basically going to allow you to draw a shape, because sometimes you don't want to go over highways. Maybe you want to stay within a specific block or a neighborhood, or highlight a specific area to look for comps in. You can click on this little icon, this polygon icon right here, and you can actually draw the specific area you want to look within, which I'm doing right now. So you could go as crazy as you want. I'll select this area and then connect back to the beginning. And here is my new search radius. Okay, so you could do that. This one right here lets you add a marker to the map if you need to add a marker for any reasons. So you could do so right here by clicking wherever you want, and it'll leave a marker. So when you want to change, remove all of these changes you've done, you can click on the reset and it will go back to normal, back to the 1 mile radius from the subject property, and negate all of those changes you've made. So that's how you start, playing around with the comparable criteria. You can tweak, the map, the search radius, you can change views. Something that's really cool that I don't think is on the MLS, where you would most likely do this if you weren't using Kvcore, is you actually have the little Google Maps person that you can use to actually, walk around the streets with. I can't remember if you can do this on the MLS one, but let's say I wanted to actually take a look at, there's a comp down here. Let me put this little guy back. So there's a comp right here on, West Columbia Street. So maybe I wanted to take a look at this property, with the 360 view. So I can click on this little man right here and drag him to that street. So I'm just gonna drop this guy right here and it will actually take me there, which is pretty cool. So this is one of the comps right here. And you can take a look at that, kind of walk around the street, and it will keep that little pin on there so that this is one of the comps and you can find the house, which is pretty cool. And when you want to get out of that, you can click on the little arrow at the top left of the map and it will get you out of there. Okay. So once you have enough comps that you want to include within the report, and everything's looking good here, you're happy with how many matches you found, whether it's active, pending, or sold, you can click on the next button right here that says next build CMA at the bottom right. Okay, but that's when you have found enough comps. Maybe you have a good 5 in there, maybe a good, three to 5, or maybe more if you want, just to have a lot of data. Once you have everything set, everything's looking good, you would click on this next button that says build CMA. Okay, but before I click on that, is there any questions on this section at all? Anything I did that was confusing? Did I have a question? I think I heard someone. Okay, all right. So this is how you start building a comp, sheet through Kvcore. I personally think this is much more user-friendly than the MLS one, but everyone has their own little preferences. This is absolutely free, and all the information you see here is pulled from the MLS. So it's as accurate as it can get. All of these active properties are as of, today, and all of this data is accurate per the CRMLS. Let me make this full screen.
Now, did you go, I came in late.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you went over the manual. And so it pretty much simple just to go into it, right, and put the MLS number.
Yeah, if you click on manual, then you would have to put your own comps in there. So you would have probably done your homework already and you want to just plug all those in here. Then you would just paste the MLS ID. That's all that is. Okay, thank you. Good question. But yeah, if most often than not, if you're coming here to build the comps, you're probably going to do all the work here, because if you've done the work elsewhere, you most likely, I mean, it's at the end of the day, it's up to you. You can do your comps on the MLS or on another software, and then just come back here, plug all of those different listings in here. They'll populate on the map. And then, yeah, you can build that nice presentation from Kvcore. And actually,
yeah, I haven't done it on this one here, but for the buyers tour, I've done it, which, you know, I had to, for whatever, I can't remember why I had to go to the MLS to locate them and then attach them or put them into this buyer tour. And it was able to, you know, I was first, because on the MLS you can't do any of that.
Yeah,
so I was able to make it work, but it came out really nice, actually.
Yeah, it builds you something very, very nice at the end.
Yeah.
So that is cool that you're using it. So I encourage all of you guys to try it out and get used to it, because it'll save you a lot of time. You know, you build all these comps, why not make something nice out of it and show, you know, your clients.
Right. The client did like it, actually, the way it was when I sent it out. They were impressed.
Yeah, so we all want to impress our clients. So listen to Cecilia, guys. So you got to try it out. And just to show you the manual feature, I'm going to copy an MLS ID here from this property. If I can find that, where do you even, oh, there it is, MLS ID. So I'm going to copy this MLS number. This is the same as going to the MLS and just copying the MLS ID, but through the listings tab on Kvcore, you can actually search for listings, which are also pulled from the MLS. So you could just search for properties straight from here without having to go all the way there. So I copied that and I'm going to paste it in here. And I probably didn't choose the same neighborhood, so I don't know what's going to happen here, but just to show you what that process would look like. If you're doing your comps elsewhere and you want to migrate all that information to Kvcore and build the presentation out of it, you would just copy the MLS ID, paste it under the manual tab, click the blue button right here, and then, yeah. So it looks like I chose a property all the way out here, but that's how the process would go, just to show you guys. So it'll just plop all of those on the map, and then you can, you know, do all of your work that way. So I'm going to remove this, and we're going to go back to automatic and keep the results we have on here. Okay, so I'm going to keep going with the 6 matches that Kvcore found for me, and the pending, the active, and 0 coming soon. So once all of this is looking good, let me go back in here, we can click on next. Any questions before I click next? I want to make sure we really understand this section. There's a lot of different tweaks, you know, buttons, but once you get used to it, it's very, very easy to plug everything and just move along with all the other steps. Anybody put any questions in the chat? Raise your hand, remember. Awesome. I think we're looking good. So we're going to click next once we have all of the details we want to include, just like so. And then it's going to take us to this screen right here. So what this says is, and you can actually keep track of all the steps you've done so far at the top here. So first we've put in the subject address, we've put the subject info, and then we just did the comparable details. That's where we chose, you know, the criterias and what we want to add as a comp, what we don't want to add as a comp. And now we're on the CMA tab. Okay, this is the really cool part that you can show your clients or whoever you're showing this to. It'll bundle all of that information and display them very, very nicely and on this nice graph and all this that we're about to get into right now. Okay, so all this is automatic just based off of what you put on the previous step. So at the top left here, it's going to give you some information about what you're doing. So we're preparing this pricing analysis for this address, aka, this comp report or this comp analysis or property neighborhood analysis, you call it what you want, but we're preparing it for the address that we put in there. And it will even add a date as far as when you built the CMA. Because me building this CMA report today will probably not be valid, 2 months from now, because things would have changed. Other properties would have sold, and whatever price or comps I have on there might not be valid anymore. So it's important that you always have a date on there, so that when you're working with a client and you send them a CMA and say, hey, I think your property is worth $1 million. And then 3 months down the line, they're like, okay, I'm ready to put it on the market for $1 million. It's probably not, it's maybe worth more than $1 million at that point, or maybe less based on everything that's been going on since then. So having this date here is very, very important. So it helps you set the expectation, okay? Because we're the experts and we're the ones who are taking the clients along the journey and making it easier for them. So being equipped with all this information and having all these little safeguards in place is nice, because if something can go wrong, at some point it probably will. So you want to save yourself that conversation by, maybe having Kvcore just do this for you. So that's nice to have there. And then right here, what is a comparable? This is information, obviously, the clients can read or the lead can read. It'll tell them what a CMA is for you. It'll tell them, how many different properties were included in this analysis. For us, it's 7 in total, 1 active, 1 pending, and 5 closed. And then on the right-hand side here, it will show them what kind of properties you've considered as far as this, analysis goes. So us, it was this right here. We chose this range for the living area size, and we've only looked for comps that had 3 bedrooms. Okay, so it will show that to them on the report. Okay, and if you want to edit that, you can click here. It'll take you back to the screen where you can change all of your criteria. And then down here, this is a really, really cool graph. It might look like a lot of info, but this is fully customizable. You can remove all of this information. So this is broken down into 5 different tabs, okay? And this is basically a pricing. It looks like a timeline, but this is basically just a timeline, but instead of time, it'll show, prices. So on this pricing spectrum, it's going to place all of the relevant information based on all of the comparables that were found. So this right here, this line is the price range of all of the results that we got based on the criteria we've set. So it'll jot down all this key information that's probably good to know. It'll tell us, hey, the average of the pending comps is this amount. And I think we only have 1 pending in our results. Yeah, we only have 1 pending. So that pending is probably $749,000. It'll show the lead or the buyer or the seller the average of the closed comps that we came up with. You can jot that down on the graph. It'll show them the average of all the active comps that are, on our results. The most recent that was sold, the most recent active, the highest that was sold. And if you click on them, it'll actually show you all the details as far as that property goes, the photos, the distance, how far is it away from the subject property, comp type, is it sold, is it pending, is it active, the year built, all of that information. Okay, this is something the buyer will be able to do, or the seller, or the lead, whoever you're sharing this with. They can come in here, they will see this information, and they'll be able to click on all of this and actually see that info. So when someone is saying, hey, I think my property is worth $1 million, But based on this timeline here and all the subject properties, they clearly see that all of the comps are within that 749 to the highest sold 870. And they're claiming, I think my property is worth $1 million. When they see this graph, they'll probably think twice before they list it at that price, because they see what's going on in the real world. Okay, so this is something really nice to show. Having visuals and things people can see is going to go a long way most of the time. So that is what this graph shows here. And if I click on these little tabs, let me move myself here. So you can click review results, or your lead, whoever opens this up, can click on here and it'll take them through all of the properties. They can click on all of them. So these are all the ones that were included within, in the report. So all the active homes, I can click here. It'll take me through one of the active homes. This home is actually pretty cool. It will show them all of those details, days on market, how far is it from the subject property, how many beds, what's the square footage, looks like it's 52 square feet smaller than our subject property, the price. The buyer, seller, or lead can actually come in here and like some of these by clicking on the like. They can star them. They can even add a note, hey, I like this one, And then this is stuff that you guys can refer to later down the line. It's very interactive. They can move around with the map, see the photos, the garage, listing info, so much information at their disposal. The pending homes, they can click on all of this stuff here and leave notes for you. Okay. And then the next tab is the trends tab. Through here, you can actually toggle on more information you want displayed on this infographic down here. So maybe I also want to show the highest active properties within the list of comps we have. I can check this and it will display that information down here. Maybe I want to show the lowest price active properties at the moment. I can check this and it will populate on the graph right here. Okay, but it looks like we only have one active comparable, so we could just leave most recent maybe. But if we had three active properties on our comps list, maybe you might want to add some of this extra information. You could do the same with pending, same thing with closed, whatever information you think is relevant for your client situation, you can add those on the graph. Features, you can also add certain things on this infographic, such as all the properties with a pool. If I check this right here, check this out right here, it'll say on the market comps with pool. It'll say 1 and it'll give the price for that. Master on main, air conditioning. I can remove all of these and add them too. So you have all of that at your disposal. Estimates, you can add certain notes here. Maybe an appraiser had an estimated price. You can type in appraiser. Appraiser said, if I can type, said this property is worth, and then you could put $1 million, and then you can add that note on there. And now if I add this estimate on here, they can refer to this infographic, see all of the other information, as well as appraiser said this property is worth $1 million, and you can see it kind of expanded this graph right here. Okay, so you can add your own little pricing points there. And last but not least, you have outliers. Maybe you also want to showcase properties that didn't make it to your list of comps, maybe properties that were 50 to 75% larger than your subject property. You can check this, and that will also be displayed on your infographic right here. Okay, so all of this is things that the person you're sharing to will be able to see and understand why they can't price it in any way they want, because we need to follow what the market is saying, basically. So you can do all of that cool stuff through these little tabs right here. Okay. And based on what you do, what comps you choose, Kvcore will automatically generate these cards for you. Okay. So it'll tell you what the average monthly list/sell price is, how fresh or stale certain listings are, the selling pace within the area you've chosen, price per square feet, price rate of change, current active shelf life, all of this information they can click on and kind of see a graph of that, which is really cool. You know, a lot of information for them to see. And once you've built all of this, you're pretty much done. Even this is just you selecting all the information you want them to see. But you can just skip through this, obviously, and just have whatever was on there in the first place. And once you're done with all this, you can just save the CMA portion, or you can create a presentation out of all this. If you're maybe going to a listing presentation or you're showing a buyer something, we're actually going to do the create presentation. We're going to do the full thing. So we're almost done here. So if I click on this, create presentation, it's going to load and take us to another page very shortly. Well, that's going. Do we have any questions on anything I did?
Yeah, I just wanted to, because I've used this before, I tried it out.
Yeah.
And I included the Zillow average or estimate on there. I used the Redfin and also Realtor.com because those are the common platforms
Yes.
that most people use, or most clients use. So I included them. I included their estimates in the pricing as well.
Oh, nice. That's
Mhm.
cool.
And
That is-
I mean, that tells them, that way they're not having to do it, but it also says that you took some time to also, include their
yeah.
pricing. And then the other is the range. Do you do an estimate of your own estimate? Do you include it in there?
So usually what I would do is while I'm talking to them, I'll kind of go in there and like plug it in there. So do you see all of this? Like first get them to,
Yeah.
get them nodding, yes, I get it. So yeah, these are priced this way. And I'll follow up with, I think this is where we should be for maximum, impact or whatnot. So either way would work, but whatever works for you, you can put it on beforehand, send it to them. But I feel like once you have that conversation while they're looking at it, then you can follow up with, this is the number I feel based on everything I just said, we should be placed at, and kind of be in the moment with them, But that's my strategy at least. But you can just put it on
there. That's good.
Yeah.
Do you do adjustments as well on pricing?
Yes. So as we go, if something needs changing, we can always refer back to this graph, because once it's there, I can come back and edit it, which is the beauty of it. And yeah, you can just tweak things.
Perfect.
But thank you for sharing. Yeah. Yes.
I'm throwing a curved ball at you. I know it's a little monotonous to listen to you. Do you provide us with leads, a session that can provide us with leads that can generate sales?
Do we?
Do you have a similar seminar that helps us in generating leads for doing business? Or should we go to a different platform?
Yes and no. So as far as just providing leads, no, but to help you generate leads through maybe posting on social media, or helping you with smart campaigns that will help nurture your leads and transform them into actual clients, then yes. Okay, maybe at some point in the future, as the group grows, we'll get so much business that we'll just be giving out leads. But to answer your question, not at least not at the moment.
Yeah, so you basically are teaching us about how to be effective presenters for MLS and information as opposed to leads. Okay.
Yeah, that and plenty of other things, not just the presentations. We talk about anything tech, software, social media, branding, and we have Coach Frank who walks you through the contracts, what's going on in the market, how to comp. This is just a preview of how to put all the comp how to
Together.
put your comps together. But tomorrow we also have a dedicated coach that walks you through choosing the right comps. So we have all those resources.
Okay. But I
Okay.
was referring to where the sales take place, the crux of the issue, the bottom line, where you can do some business.
Oh yeah, no, I get what you mean, but yeah, not as of yet. No.
And this is good peripheral knowledge.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
it's important. Okay, but good to know. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions, anyone? Awesome, awesome. Yeah, thank you. I think it was April. Thank you for your share. Was it April? I can't remember. Thank you. I'll probably start doing that also. Put the estimates and all those on there. That's actually a good idea. Okay, so once we click next, we'll get to this page right here, and we'll be able to see all of the slides within our presentation. Okay, Kvcore will make this for you, but you can go ahead and tweak all of the slides that are within the presentation. So it'll tell you how many slides you have. So it looks like mine is 11 slides. And right now, this presentation is tailored to sellers because that's what I chose at the beginning, you know, when the seller, I think I clicked on. So you can go through each of the different slides. It'll show you the introduction slide, and I can, you know, click on the little pencil and change things around. Instead of the property address, I could put I don't know, Frank's property, you know, make it more personal. If I was trying to list Frank's property, so I could put that on there. You can change all this around, and all of this is branded to you, by the way. So you can see my name down there. It has the EXP logo already, and it'll say prepared by me and presentation prepared for. You can even put the person's name only here. Presentation was prepared for Frank, and then you can put the address here, whatever you like. And you can go through each of the slides. So this is the next slide. Why am I the right fit? You can go through here, and people can actually click on, you know, the information within these slides. You can add slides. That's getting a little bit more complex, but what it already gives you is so good. I've never really went in and actually added any slides. Most of the time I don't get through the whole thing. We just stay on where is it? The market analysis tab, I think, where we talk about, yeah. So most often than not, we just get stuck talking about the average sales price and what's going on in the market. But it's nice to have all of these to flip through when you talk to a buyer or a seller. Okay, so you can see all of the different slides here, get familiar with what's actually on there. And a lot of the stuff on here is actually interactive. Okay, and I'll show you how to share this with clients, but yeah, so see, I can click on buttons on here, and you will be able to see the changes on the presentation, which is pretty cool. And let's see. Yeah, it'll pre-generate a net sheet, I think this is called. Can't forget, I keep forgetting how many buyers are available and how many might see your property. On here, you have a marketing plan. All this is already written out for you. Obviously, it's your branding. It even has your photo from your Kvcore, which is pretty nice. So you do very minimal work, honestly, and it looks very nice and professional. Okay, so you can get through this whole thing within, I want to say 30 minutes or less, even maybe 15 minutes if you really get used to it. So you can have a client call you, just request information, and you can just whip this up within minutes and just have that on hand and talk to them and show this to them. So you're always prepared. Okay. So once you have your presentation how you want it to be, obviously up here, I didn't actually click through these buttons. You can change the order of the slides based on, you know, some presets Kvcore has. So this could be for a buyer that's trying to interview me along with other agents. So I can click on the I'm shopping you one, and it'll tell you what it's designed for. So the order of this report is designed for the I'm shopping you seller. For this seller, it's not a question of timing or value. The seller is committed to sell. Their only hurdle is choosing who the right agent is. So you can click through these and see, you know, what kind of clients they're meant for and choose the appropriate one. You have the contingency seller, you have the make me list seller, you have the default order too. So you can play around with that. You can change the theme also. So right now it's the traditional theme. Let me zoom out so we can see this. If I choose modern, it'll change the way the slides look. I can also do luxury. It'll change around the font. This was very subtle, but if you look at the blue here, it'll change, I promise. So yeah, there's a very minimal changes, but you can choose the theme you want. So yeah, see, this is what the modern looks like. This is what the luxury looks like, and this is what the traditional looks like. Okay. And I'm going to close this. And you can also choose what mode of presentation. So right now we're in presentation mode. If you only wanted to show the CMA, you would click on the CMA mode, and it will only showcase the slides with the CMA information. Okay. So as I said, this is interactive, really cool stuff. And they can click through, you know, your infographic, which is cool too. And if you only want to show a single page, you can click on the single page review, and it will show you all the important information that you can share with the client. Okay, but I usually just leave it at presentation and go slide by slide. So once everything is built out and you're happy with what you got, you can click on present and share. Okay, once you click on that, it will open up this page, and through this page is where you can either copy the link. So I can click copy down here and then share this link with anyone, and then they will be able to see this presentation. I can click download and print, which is basically what it's going to do. It'll download this presentation to my computer, and also I can print it. You can email it straight from here by clicking the email presentation. You can open the presentation. You can do so many things. You can even add your listing agreements link right here. So after they go through everything, if they're convinced, they can just click on that link and already start, you know, working with you. So it's pretty cool stuff. So that's how you build a pretty much a listings presentation, including the CMA for a buyer or a seller or just any lead that you feel needs to see this information. Yeah, do we have any questions on anything I did so far, or anything related to this? Any comments?
I have a question.
Yes.
Regarding the buyer section. I don't know if you could go back to it on your present.
Where? Within the presentation?
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's go in there.
Where it shows how many buyers.
Oh, the net sheet? Yeah. Let me get
Is
there.
it called the net sheet?
I think so.
Okay.
Let me get to that.
I'm just curious where it's taking that information. Is it taking it from all of EXP's potential buyers, or the MLS? What is
all of
EXP?
EXP's potential buyer, yeah. So it's probably not accurate, but it
Yeah, I
just
was gonna
shows
say,
that. Yeah.
if it was taking it from the MLS, maybe it would be a little more.
Yeah, I think I know exactly what you're talking about. I usually don't say, hey, this is what you're talking about, right?
Right.
Yeah. This is
The
just
funnel of buyers, yeah, so it is coming from EXP's general. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the information might be even on the right-hand side here. It'll kind of show a preview. Hey, somebody with an @iCloud email might be interested.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always just say, hey, this is just people within the brokerage. If they ask, sometimes they just kind of look at it and they're like, oh, cool. But yeah, you can even remove this, honestly, if you don't want any questions about it, but I doubt this is accurate. So
yeah,
that's a good question.
Okay.
Yeah, any other questions regarding this? Anyone? Awesome.
I
Awesome.
did this presentation and I had to figure out how to put the additional slides. So,
Oh,
yeah, I had to start from the very beginning. So I wanted to
okay.
add my own slides so that way it comes up in this presentation.
Oh, like custom
Yeah,
everything, not
custom, right, customize your presentation.
yeah, I don't think it'll what did you find? I don't think it lets you do that. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
it
You can
did.
only oh, it did. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Where did you click? Actually, I want
I
to know.
had to go back to where was it?
Do you remember?
It was, I had to identify my
Um,
slides out of this though,
okay, no worries.
out of
I
this, and then I had to add them to the system.
gotcha. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'll definitely connect with you on that. I didn't know you could do that. I
Yeah,
usually
you
just
know
go
what?
with what I have.
I didn't think of Canva, now that I'm thinking about it, I should have
Yes.
done it that way.
Canva is a great tool to
Mhm.
actually build that too. So that's a good share for sure. But yeah, I mean, most people don't even know Kvcore can do this. So
Mhm.
yeah, this is already a lot that you can start, doing and show your clients, and it makes you look more professional. You have a lot of information to share. So
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah, what's neat about this is that it tells you when your client has gone in and looked at it and how many times they looked at it
yes. So if you
and
go through
what
here, you can see
exactly they
that.
looked at, what slide, and so it gives you all those details.
Definitely.
Mhm.
So yeah, you have all those statistics available. You can see all the presentations you've created, the average time people have spent, looking at them, and the open rate and all that stuff. I usually open it up myself and go through it with clients. But if you look at the presentations, you have a little. So the way I got here is just by once you go to marketing and you click on, core present, the
Mhm.
first page you see is where you can track all that info, just right here. It'll show you all the presentations you've made, and you can just click on the little whatever you call this icon, the statistics button, and yeah, you can keep track of all that. How many times it's been viewed, uh, when the last time it was open is, the average time spent on it, and you can see the duration, of all the pages where people clicked. It's really, really thorough, and it'll give you a lot of data. So that is also another plus you get. Okay.
Just a quick thing on the buyer tour that I did for one of
Yeah.
my clients. I guess my client was really, really super excited about
Yeah.
looking at these homes.
Okay.
And she was going into into the slide or into the
Oh, nice.
website, almost every day.
Okay.
And then just looking at particular properties. So by the
Wow.
time I got to see her, I knew exactly which one she really, really liked because she looked at it the most.
That's really
So
cool.
I was
That's
more
really
focused on that property than the other properties that she looked at online. So it was that I thought was pretty good because that was a
Yeah.
good way to connect without connecting with her.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Connecting from a distance, and then you kind of
Yeah.
already know what to go prepared with. So that's cool.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, so yeah, guys, get in the habit, try and learn this, and whenever you need any type of CMA information or buyer tour, you can create a presentation, share it, and you can always come back here and just get back to them, update them, and then mail them out again. So this is how you create that step by step. Of course, this is all recorded. You can come back to this and follow along step by step. But yeah, do we have any other shares, any other questions, maybe something I might have missed? Okay, looks like we're looking good. Yeah, this is, I think, all I have for you today. This is how you build CMA reports through Kvcore for free. Absolutely amazing. And if you have any questions, of course, you can reach out to me. Here's my phone number, my email, and here is the website to book a one-on-one with me. if you want to take things, at your own pace and ask specific questions that are more particular to you. Okay, so if there's no other questions, without further ado, this was it. You guys have a wonderful night and see you tomorrow for a comms class with Renee.
All right, thank you so much. It was really good. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Good night.
Thank you, Coach Kane.
Thank you guys. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Alrighty, bye-bye guys.